Hi, this is Dan from Watchwaker Appliance Repairs. If you have a Fisher and Paykel E240B fridge freezer, which is one of these slimline fridge freezers, a bit narrower than a standard fridge, you might sometimes find that there's water building up in the bottom of the fridge compartment. This is caused by the drain in the fridge blocking up, so today I'm going to show you how you can quite easily clear that up yourself. Now specifically we're talking about the E240B Fisher and Paykel fridge freezer, and that's got this plate at the back of the fridge here, which is the evaporator plate, rather than just doing the cooling in the freezer and blowing the cold air up to the fridge. To get access to the part we need to unblock, you're going to need two screwdrivers. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver and also a number 2 square drive. To start with, you need to unplug the fridge so that this plate is not all iced up and causing problems while you're trying to work around it. And then it pays to take the top couple of shelves out. I've taken all the shelves out just to make it easy. And then what we're going to do is going to undo the 2 screws on the main plate. These are Phillips screws. They are quite long, so they'll take quite a while to undo. And then this plastic drain that sits in the bottom is clipped in on each side just below where the screws are. So we want to lift that drain up, and then it will unplug from the evaporator plate. This evaporator plate will now move, but we really don't want to move it. You can bend it a little bit, but any bending runs the risk of fracturing the pipes, and then you're going to leak refrigerant, and you don't want to do that. So just move this drain up, and then now we need to use our number 2 square drive to undo these 2 square drive screws that are in the little drain trough itself. These are a lot shorter than the other screws. And then we can just wriggle this drain here right off. Now it'll be a bit stiff to pull out because, as you can see, there's some sealant around the hole, which makes it quite a tight fit, but if you just wriggle backwards and forwards, it'll come out. Now this here is usually where the blockage will be. As you can see, there's that little wee bar down the middle of the drain to stop too much dirt, debris going into the drain hose itself, and that can block up quite easily. So that's the first thing to check and give it a clean, and also just check the back end of this pipe here. It's amazing what gunk can build up into there. If it's not, then it's usually in the first couple of centimeters where the drain goes down into the fridge. And that's where something nice and flexible, now curtain wire is what I use. Piece of curtain wire is the perfect thing here. We're just going to poke that down the drain, and now the hose goes down at a small angle and then takes about a 90-degree bend, so it takes a bit of wriggling and twisting to get past that, and then we can push all the way through. To test it, what we can do is put the lower little drain back in and just pour some water, or I like putting some hot water in case there's a bit of ice down the drain, and it should run all the way down, and then it will come out into the little tray at the back of the fridge, because that's where this drain goes. It goes to a little tray that sits on top of the motor, and every time that the fridge is cold enough and switches off, the bit of ice that's built up on this plate melts, runs down into the drain, all the way down into this tray just above the motor, and then the heat from the motor running evaporates that little bit of water off, so you don't need to worry about plumbing it in to go anywhere. So if we pour some water into the drain, and it doesn't just pool and sit there and it runs out and we can hear it running down into that tray at the back, then we know that we've successfully cleared the drain and we shouldn't have that water building up in our fridge anymore. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you while I've got this apart is that on the back of this plastic drip guide, or this drain, upper drain here, there is a very low wattage element. This is creates a little bit of heat, and every time, as I said before, the fridge turns off and stops cooling, this comes on, just puts a tiny bit of heat to help melt the ice away, and so you don't get any ice blocks building up into big chunks over several cycles. This is on a piece of sticky foil tape, so if this is peeling off, then you just want to try and press it on firmly so that it's making good contact with the plastic. So then it's time to reassemble. We just need to put everything back in the reverse order we took it out. Just make sure that the 2 little plastic clips are plopped into the right spot on the evaporator. What you can see I'm doing here is just molding that sealant, squashing it in a bit so that when we put the drain in, it makes good contact and seals there. And then we're going to put in our 2 square screws first, square drive in the lower holes, and then the Phillips, the longer Phillips, into the actual evaporator plate itself. Now you want to make sure we actually line up with the holes. There's actually no bracket or anything this is screwing into, it's just going through the thin plastic wall and then into the foam. But we just want to try and wriggle around. I had a little bit of trouble here, but get it lined up so that it's going into the same holes it was going into before, and then thread those home, and we're all back together. So that's how to unblock the drain on your Fisher and Paykel E240B slimline fridge. Hope it's been helpful, and if you've got any questions, let me know and I'll try to help out where I can. Cheers.